Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Coaching Corner. It is Tuesday. You know, I love my Tuesdays because we have the Coaching Corner, and this is where we go live and we talk about all things special education. But before we get started, let me go ahead and share just a little bit who I am and what we do at the IEP Coach. I am Jamila F. Bashir, aka the IEP Coach, and I am the founder and CEO of the IEP Coach LLC. We are an education company, and we specialize in providing special education centered support to special education teams, teachers, and paraprofessionals so they can thrive in their roles and keep their schools out of litigation. Okay, so that's just a little bit about us at the IEP Coach and a little bit about what we do. All right. And before we move forward, we go live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about all things special education. And when we're done, we have live Q&A. Now, we're doing something a little differently this time around. We're just having live Q&A the whole time for the Coaching Corner because we've been getting a lot of questions. Um, just about special education. So we said, why not just do the whole live that? Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And as you are coming in, tell us where you are tuning in from. And you can start dropping your questions in the comments right now. And drop your questions. All right. And as I'm telling you to share it out, I am sharing it out as well. Your question. Okay. All right. And close that out. All right. So share it out. Share it out. And it is getting cold. It is very cold. The weather has changed. It feels like it has skipped fall weather and it is straight cold weather now. It is very, very cold. All right. I truly feel like I said, I truly feel like um we skipped fall and went straight to winter. That's exactly what it's feeling like. Okay, that is exactly what it's feeling like. But yeah, I got my sweater on, but it's hoodie season, and as they say, sweater weather. But it's hoodie season for me because I love me a nice hoodie. Love me a nice hoodie. So it's all good. So yes, make sure you share out this live, and we're going to go ahead and get started, and go ahead and start dropping your questions in the comment section. So you got special education questions, IEP questions, questions about reevaluations, questions about progress monitor, whatever question you got regarding special education, go ahead and share it out. Share it out. Share it out. Drop it right there in the comments. And I'm going to get to all of the questions. All right. All right. And it looks like, oh, let me correct the link for YouTube. All right, let me correct that right now. Oops. I don't know what happened there, but let's just fix it so people can tune in on YouTube, because we are going live on all of our platforms: YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Instagram. And let me just put this here, fix the link, and we're going to keep this thing rolling. Alrighty. You know, sometimes technical difficulties occur. It's all good. It is all good. Okay, so we're going to say correction, correct link. Here we go. Here we go. All right, let me erase this. Here we go. Tune in here. And I'm sorry about that, guys. Alrighty, correct that link. And we are good to go. Alrighty. There we go. And let's make sure okay, correct link. correct YouTube link. There we go. Send that now. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Alrighty, right. Okay. All right. So let's see what questions we have. All right. Thank you all for joining in. Okay, so we're going to start off with some questions regarding special education. And I got some questions that was DM'd to us. Just going in our DMs and looking at the questions. All right. So someone asked, hold on, let's go here. Alrighty. So, I'm sorry, I'm just scrolling up to the questions. Oh, someone asked for reevaluations. How often should families expect a reevaluation, and what does that process typically look like? Oh, this is a great question. Thank you. So, for reevaluation, students get reevaluated every 3 years. If they have an intellectual disability, so if they have an intellectual disability or anything like that, they get reevaluated every 2 years. Okay, so if you have an intellectual disability, you get evaluated every 2 years. If you don't have an intellectual disability, you get evaluated every 3 years. So when your student is up for a reevaluation, you're basically going over, is this student still in need of their IEP? Is the IEP program plan, is it working for this particular student? Okay, so that's basically what the reevaluation is. Is this program working for the student? So when you do a reevaluation, you will look at the student's grades. You're going to look at their test scores. You're going to basically look at all the things that they have done over the 3 years, the past 3 years, or past 2 years that they've had their IEP, and see, is this IEP working for that student? Sometimes when students are being reevaluated, the case manager and the team, they're reviewing the data and they're seeing, well, the student seems to be maintaining, the student seems to be making progress. We're just going to do a record review, just review their records, and and then document that the IEP is working for the student, and then continue, and then the psychologist will share their part and give their input in the reevaluation, and then that gets finalized. Now, anytime a reevaluation is done, you need to do a new IEP, because you need to do a new IEP based off of that information from the reevaluation. Okay. And so that's basically the process. Now, sometimes when students get a reevaluation, additional testing needs to be done, because you're noticing the student, like something else is getting in the way of the student's learning. And you want to know, like, you want to do some additional testing to see, what is it? Is it something behavioral? Is it something psychological? Like, what is it? What's getting in the way? So this could be an OT evaluation, occupational therapy. It could be a speech evaluation. It could be just a whole full scale reevaluation, because something else is impacting this student's learning. Okay. Now, when a student is in high school, let me back up. Now, like I said, if a student has an intellectual disability, they get it every 2 years. If they don't, they get it every 3 years. Now, you should be looking at new data from the student, new information from the student. So some school districts, some networks, they don't do new testing every 3 years or every 2 years for a student. And they will say that, oh, we only do it every 6 years. However, if a student first received their IEP when they were in kindergarten, 3 years later, they're in what? They're in third grade. They may not be operating in the same way that they were when they were in kindergarten. So parents do push for updated testing when your child is up for a reevaluation. You definitely want to make sure you do that. You definitely want to make sure a new reevaluation with new testing gets done. Okay. All right. And especially when a student is in high school, because after high school, they could be going to college, they could be going to a vocational school, they could be continuing on with their education, and they may require accommodations. And in order to get accommodations, the school needs documentation of the disability. They need documentation that, hey, what this student diagnosis is, how the diagnosis impacts their learning, and what are the recommended accommodations at the higher ed level. Okay, you definitely want to make sure if your child's in high school and they have an IEP to get a reevaluation done with all new testing, at least junior year or senior year. So that way, because they need the testing to be at least 3 years old, so that way when they go to college, they can request accommodations. And I highly, even if you say, oh, I don't think I need it, get them while your testing is up to date. And hey, if you don't use them your freshman year, that's fine. But you rather have your accommodations and not need them than need your accommodations and you can't get the accommodations because your paperwork is outdated. Okay? So that's basically the reevaluation process. Okay? All right. Let's go to the next question. All right, let's go to the next question. Next question, let's go back to the DMs. All right. The next question is, oops, I went too far. Okay. Can you share some tips on how to set effective, measurable IEP goals that really align with the student's needs? Oh, this is a great question. So basically, to make sure that tips to set effective and measurable IEP goals. So you definitely want to write SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable. Oh, what is the R? And time bound. The R is escaping me right now. Specific, measurable, attainable. I cannot think of the R right now. It's escaping me. And time bound. You want to make sure that your goals are SMART. And when you're getting ready to do a student's IEP, when you do your probes to get updated levels, when you review the students' data from how they're doing in their classes, you got to use your progress monitoring data to let you know, to inform you what the student needs, and then from there create goals from the student's needs. So your progress monitoring data that you collect on the student's goals is going to drive the new goals that you create based off the results of your progress monitoring. So when you do your progress monitoring, you don't just collect the data, you also got to analyze the data. So when you analyze the data, it's going to tell you, it's going to show you patterns, it's going to show you trends, and it's going to let you know, like, hey, I need to make a goal for word problems for this student because they're struggling a lot with word problems. Or I need to make a goal for vocabulary because this student is struggling with vocabulary, all right? So you want to make sure your goals pertain, when you get that data from the progress monitoring, you want to make sure that you write a SMART goal. So remember, you want to make sure it's specific to what they need, it's measurable, it's achievable or attainable, it's relevant to what they need, and it's time bound, okay? So when you say, so for example, you're not just going to say, oh, Jonathan is going to increase his reading level. No, that is not, it's like, how? What are you going to use? Like, and what's the, like, by what time? And what's the criteria? Like what? So versus you say something, you create a goal, something like, given a research-based intervention, Jonathan will, you can say, Jonathan will answer inference questions with 80% accuracy on 4 out of 5 trials by the end of this IEP cycle. Something like that. Now, why did I say inferencing questions? Because perhaps from the progress monitoring data I have, I can see this student struggles with inference questions. So I'm going to make a goal that is relevant to what they need. Now, how are we going to do it? We're going to use a research-based intervention. Now, how often, now what's the criteria? Okay, it's 80% accuracy. How many times? 4 out of 5 trials. By when? By the end of the IEP cycle. And then also you want to make sure you look at the baseline. Where is the student started at? Let's say they're at 50%. Okay, 80%, that's attainable. They can actually achieve that. You don't want the students to be at 10% and then you making them go 80%. That's not really attainable for them at all. That's not really attainable. So you got to be realistic with the goal. That's why SMART goals, it's specific to what they need, is measurable, it's achievable. Like, you don't want to make a goal and the student can never reach that goal because the bar is too high for them to reach. Okay, so it has to make sense. So that is how you can definitely make sure that the goals align with the student's needs. So look at your progress monitoring, look at what it's telling you, look at the data. This is why you do progress monitoring, so you can make a data-driven decision on what goals you need to make for the student, and then make SMART goals. If you got to write out what SMART means, write it out and put it to the side for you so you can always go back to it and review it. Okay, because you want to make SMART goals and you want to make sure that you use your progress monitoring to guide your goals. Okay, and make sure you always include a baseline. Always include where the student's starting at. Where are they? So this is how you know if they have grown or are progressing or regressing. All right, that was a great question. Another question. What are some key elements that go into creating a successful behavior intervention plan within an IEP? Oh, those bibs. All right. Now, progress monitoring behavior, it's a little different than when you're progress monitoring academic goals. Okay? So, first off, when you are doing a behavior intervention plan, you have to figure out, one, what is the behavior? How will you figure out what the behavior is? You're going to do some observations, because behavior is something that you see. Okay? You're going to do some observations. You're not just going to do one, you're going to do a couple. You may sit in a student's period of their class in the morning, you may do one in the afternoon, and you're literally, maybe every 5 minutes, you're taking data down on what the student is doing. Okay? Now, after you get your observations, you definitely want to get input from all of the students' teachers, because you want to see, hey, how is the student functioning in your classes? Because this helps you see, hey, is the behavior happening certain times of the day? Is it with a certain teacher? Is it with a certain subject? This is why you have to get the input from the teachers. Okay? You also got to get the input from the parent, because sometimes the behavior happens at home. Sometimes the behavior may only happen at school, is not happening at home, but you still want to get the input from the parent. Okay? After you collect all that data, you're going to analyze what you have found. What is that data telling you? So the data could be telling you that, okay, Michael his work, they have off-task behaviors. So when you create that behavior intervention plan, you have to focus on what is the main behavior that is occurring. Why is it occurring? What does the student get out of exhibiting that behavior? Okay. Now, what is the behavior we want them to what's the behavior we want them to implement? What's the plan if they continue to implement the target behavior? And then what is the plan when they exhibit the behavior we want them to see, the behavior, the replacement behavior? Because you don't just have a behavior intervention plan and you don't have a behavior intervention plan without any consequences. It's not going to work. Your behavior intervention plan, like, yes, you're going to have the interventions, the things that you're going to do when the student exhibits that behavior, or strategies and interventions you're going to do to help the student not engage in those behaviors. But then you're also going to have in that plan what will happen if the student exhibits that behavior. Because yes, thank you. Is it Icely? I hope I did not mispronounce your name. Behavior is communication. It's telling you something. So like if a student is off task in a particular class, they're not completing their work in a particular class. Okay, that's telling you something. Is the work too hard? Is the student not understanding it? Look at the position where the student is in the class, where they're seated. Are they far away? Can they not see the board? Can they not hear their teacher? Do they not understand what their teacher is saying? There's so many factors that go into play. Thank you. Yes, is the ABCs of behavior. Behavior of communication. So what's like the antecedent? I can break that. Let me go back and break that down. Hold on. Yes, is the ABCs of behavior, and you have to identify a solid reinforcement. So what is going to be that reinforcement you're doing so that the student can exhibit the proper behavior in the classroom? Now, when you have your behavior intervention plan, you also have to have your a tool that you're going to use to track the behavior. So, is this going to be a rubric? I'm frozen? Oh, I'm frozen. Am I still frozen? Am I still frozen? I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. I'm looking on my IG. I look like I'm not frozen no more. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, thank you. So when you are when you are tracking behavior, you have to figure out what are you going to use to track that behavior. So like, okay, some schools, some students, they have a check-in checkout system. This is where they're checking with somebody in the morning, they check in with someone at another time. That helps whoever the case manager is, whoever is handling and taking who is taking ownership of their student's behavior plan. They may have a check-in, check-out. I used to be an emotional support teacher, so I was always tracking behavior. So I used Google Forms, and then I moved to a Google Sheet. Now I did middle school. You want to make sure the tool you use is age appropriate, because a lot of times, you've seen in these schools, you give the student a piece of paper. Oh, go get this to your teacher, and have them, check off your behavior, and then you review the data with the student. If that student takes when that student takes their folder home to show their parents to sign off, and they lose it, your data is gone. Your data is gone. So you have to make sure, you have a tool that you can use to track a student's behavior, that is confidential for them, because that information is only for the teachers, for the student, and for the case manager. It's not for everybody to see and know about. You want to make sure you're able to share it with the parent, and you want to make sure you're able to share with the student how their day was or how their week was. Because depending on the severity of the behavior, you may have to track it daily. You may have to track it weekly. It depends on the student. So for a lot of my students, I was tracking self-advocacy. I was tracking classwork completion. I was tracking homework completion. Some students, I was tracking, do you interaction with peers, their interactions with their teachers. And it was a 1, 2, 3. Now I was super clear what a 3 meant, what, like if it was work completion, or like, for example, prompting. You have to prompt the student. So a 3, I needed no prompts today. A 2, I needed at least one prompt. A 1, I needed more than one prompt today to get started on my work or whatever. You need to make sure it's very clear if you're using a tool like that to track behavior. You want to make sure the criteria is super clear. There's no room for interpretation of what that means. Like there is no other meaning for it. It's super clear. This is it. This is what a 3 is. This is what a 2 is. This is what a 1 is. So it's super clear. And then you want to make sure you total up those your tools that you're using, so that way you can see percentages. You can see, okay, how often they are exhibiting the proper behavior, and you can see how are they improving. So when you do your IEP meeting, using and seeing if you need to change the behavior intervention plan or discontinue the behavior intervention plan, you're using your data from your data tracking tools to make that determination. Do you need to continue to track this behavior or behaviors, or has the student progressed and they are no longer in need of the behavior intervention plan? All right, so there's a lot that goes into behavior intervention plans. And also, you have positive behavior support plans. There's so much. A behavior plan, it is very, I'm not going to say it's very strenuous, but there's a lot of pieces that go into the behavior intervention plan. There's a lot of pieces that go into it, and you want to make sure you did all your steps. You've identified what the behavior is, why the behavior is occurring, what is the student getting out of exhibiting that behavior, what is the replacement behavior, how are you going to support the student with implementing that replacement behavior, what's going to happen if they don't exhibit that replacement behavior. All of that goes into the behavior intervention plan. And then what are some strategies for the student? What are some strategies for the teachers when this behavior occurs, what to do? Now, it is important to understand your student, to understand what strategies you're going to use for that student, what strategies you're going to give to the teacher. And I know sometimes teachers, you may be like, oh, it ain't that serious. Oh, I can just make sure I just do this. No, it's a reason the behavior intervention plan is written, and it has those strategies in there, because if you follow it, it will assist you in your classroom. Like, for instance, some students, due to trauma, you raise your voice, it does something to them. There's some type of, like, how you talk to them. So you may have in there, make sure you talk in this tone. Make sure you talk to a student in private. Make sure you don't single the student out. That's for a reason. The student may have experienced some trauma, so when that happens to them, they respond to it in a certain way. Sometimes, this causes a student to have a meltdown. And it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to over an hour to help bring a student down from a meltdown. And if a student is experiencing a meltdown, do not reprimand the student while they're having that meltdown. They are not in the state to receive anything that you're saying. You have to wait until they come down and they are in the right mind frame to receive what you're saying. Because just think about, if you're upset, you're already at 100, and somebody is coming to you like, you need to da da da. you're in no state of mind to respond to them in a proper way or in a respectful way. Okay? You have to allow people to come down from that meltdown, to have a logical conversation with them. Okay? Yes, thank you. Sensory profile, PBIS. Yes. Functions, escape, gain attention, avoid, or attention. Yes, there are a lot of reasons why students will exhibit certain behaviors. It's a lot of different reasons. And this is why you do observations and you do them in different settings. Because you want to see, like, okay, is it happening across all classes? Is it just a certain class? Is it a certain time of day? And then watch what happens when a student exhibits the behavior. What is happening after? What happens before it? What happens after? All of that. There's so much that goes into a behavior intervention plan. And this is why, if a student is in need of one, you take the time to do it properly. Okay? All right, we got another question. How can parents and teachers work together to effectively track and discuss a child's progress on their IEP goals? So I would say, definitely, I highly recommend, when at the beginning of the year, have a team meeting, like even bring the student, put names with faces, talk about the students' accommodations, how they're going to help the students this year, and like just start just kind of building that rapport. Ask the student, like, hey, how do you learn best? How do you know, just build rapport. Parents, let the parents know how you are going to communicate with them for the year, because a lot of times parents, they want the consistent communication just to know what's going on with my child. How can I support in any way? So when I was still in the classroom, I taught 7th grade. And so I used to have I just made like a little brief newsletter about 7th grade English. I made one about 7th grade English, and then I made one about just being the case manager for 7th grade. How things are different from 6th grade. Okay? I did that just to build rapport. And parents really appreciated that, because it let them know, like, hey, if I got a question, I'll CC Miss Bashir, but I'm going to email the English teacher. But I'm going to CC Miss Bashir just so I keep her in the loop. Okay? So you definitely want to keep open communication. Let them know, hey, if you're going to be, if your line of communication is email, that you're going to do email. If you're having any concerns, make sure you're going to be transparent about those concerns. Not wait till it's too late to share concerns and things that you are seeing with the student. And parents, hey, if there's certain things that you're noticing at home, share it with your child's case manager and IEP teacher, case manager and teachers, so that way you can truly work as a team to address certain things, to support the student the best way possible. Consistent, clear communication is key. And also, this will help you learn the parent schedule. This will help you learn just more about the family, more about the student. And this will help you to better address if any issues arise. If a student starts to struggle, if a student is having any issues, you can come to the table as a team and have a team discussion on how to support the student. Now, when it comes to effectively tracking IEP goals and their progress, from the school side, case managers, consistent progress monitoring. Okay? Be clear. Make sure you understand what your school progress monitoring system is, what tools are going to be used, and how often you will be progress monitoring the goals, and share that with the parents so they are aware. Let them know when they will be receiving a progress report, and go over the progress report with them. Make sure you have charts and a blurb about the chart. So that way parents can see the data points, and then they see the blurb that's explaining that chart. It helps them to understand the progress report. And then you can talk about, hey, if the student is regressing, may not be progressing as much as you hoped, you can talk about, hey, here's the action plan. This is what we're going to do to support so and so with this particular goal. If you see they are progressing, hey, what's working? Hey, this is what we're doing at school. We've seen that this is working. We're going to keep on doing it. Okay, so that is one of the ways that you can work together with parents to effectively track and discuss. So let parents know when progress reports will be taking place. Let them know how you'll be progress monitoring those goals, when they will receive a report, and being open to doing a Zoom or meeting in person to go over that progress report, so that way you can answer and address any questions the parents may have, because parents also, they want to know, hey, what can I do at home? What can I do at home to help my kid? Or like, you may need to give them some strategies because they may be like, I don't know what to do. You can give them strategies, you can give them resources. Okay, but be consistent with it. Okay, be consistent with your progress monitor, because if you're not, you're going to have inconsistent data, and you cannot have, and you won't be able to make no data driven decisions with inconsistent data. Okay, all right. Oh my gosh, I think we need to do another Q&A because we got questions here. But hold on, let me check Instagram to see if we got any more questions. All right, so before we go, I want to make sure that just say a few things. Those of you in charter schools, please make sure you double check your special education handbook regularly, to make sure it's aligned with your state's regulations, special education regulations, and make sure you share it often with your parents. Like when you have your how you have your blast communications with your parents, make sure you include your handbooks, in those blasts to the parents, just so parents is all, they always have access to the information if they need it. And make sure you get your handbook checked, your special education handbook checked regularly, and making sure it's aligned with your state's special education regulations. If your child is in high school, they have an IEP, you definitely want to make sure before they graduate, they get a reevaluation with updated testing. So if they are going on to post-secondary education, you want to make sure you have that updated reevaluation, and make sure it's not a record review. Make sure it is a new psychoeducational with new testing, and that it states what what your child's diagnosis is, how it impacts their learning, and it includes recommendations for the higher education setting. Okay? Because when your child goes off to college, if that is the goal, they can get accommodations while they're in college, but they need the documentation to prove that they have a diagnosis. Okay? The testing needs to be at least 3 years old. So I would highly recommend you do this during their junior year or senior year. Okay? Make sure you do that. All right? Try to make sure there's anything else I wanted to say. Just make sure you keep your consistent communication with your families. Make sure you have consistent progress monitoring systems in your school leaders. Please, this is so important. And as a matter of fact, we are doing a free webinar, Progress Monitoring 101, the missing system costing your school growth and how to fix it. Definitely register. This is for our school leaders, admin, special education leaders. This is for you, okay? And we have a progress monitoring workshop offered for schools right now, and you can take advantage of it as well. You can book a call with us if you need this training at your school. This is for you if your school does not have a consistent progress monitoring system. Everyone is doing their own thing. You definitely need this. You definitely need this workshop at your school. So I dropped the link to the webinar in the comments, and I am also dropping it here. And I'm also dropping the our scheduling link for you to book a call with us as well. Okay? So you can get that workshop in your school. Okay? And take advantage of the free webinar. Okay? Let me make sure we don't got any more questions. Double checking. All right, I think we're good. Thank you all so much for taking part in this Q&A. We're going to do another one. We will not be going live next week. So we will be live again December 2nd. Yes, I believe that's the Tuesday. Yes. So we'll be doing another Q&A because this was good. We still got questions to answer, but this was really, really good. I'm seeing that you guys really were really in on this. So we're gonna do another one. Remember your capacity. Don't push past your capacity, because when you do that, you get burned out. Remember what you are capable of. What's in your control? Okay? Remember that. Stay safe, and we will see you all December 2nd. Everyone have safe, if you're traveling to go see your families, be safe, have safe fun, and eat some good food. All right? And we'll see you December 2nd. Peace.